Right. Unfortunately, it was our top story. Former Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya and his wives charged with alleged corruption of 1.3 billion shillings. Governor Kibwana, why is corruption so synonymous with counties?
Well, I don't know whether it is synonymous with counties or the entire country. Maybe I shouldn't say I don't know. I should say, actually, corruption is a problem in the entire country. And this is not a new story. This is something that for a long time we have said this is a problem that we need to solve, because if we don't do that, we shall continue being a poor country. Of course, it is always easy to say that devolution also involved devolving corruption to the counties. We must understand that counties receive about 15% of national income. 85% is at the national level. And at that national level, you know, again, you don't hear lots of stories about what is happening there. So one has to be careful so that, yes, we must always identify issues of corruption and deal with them according to the law. And it should be both national and county so that we really rid ourselves of this menace. This issue is an issue which has come just now. There are investigations going on, and we are waiting to really see, you know, where those investigations will go. And there used to be talk about weaponization of corruption. One hopes that this is not such a situation. And of course, as the organs that delve into wrongdoing do their work, we will be able to, you know, to see where that goes. But I think one has to emphasize that we have to deal with corruption throughout the two levels of government. Like CDF, you hardly get episodes of wrongdoing there, because when you begin to kind of focus on MPs, they're up in arms, and, you know, because they normally vote in certain ways to support the government. Government is a bit hesitant to deal with those. And we will even remember that Lumumba, when he was chair of the Anti-Corruption Authority, when he tried to go that direction of CDF, they got him out. I think we need to be careful so that we don't target one level of government. We target all levels of government.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Prof, do you agree? Is corruption the biggest setback in the counties?
I really do not think so. Like my brother simply said here, I think we are putting a lot of our energy, simply serious energy, on things that will not drive Kenya forward. Can we also celebrate the 90–80% success of anything that we have, rather than focusing on a minor, small problem? It may be a problem, but why do we put all our attention, all TVs are now focusing on an attention of a governor?
But Prof, if billions have been stolen, come on, that's not something small. Billions have been stolen, allegedly stolen.
It is true, and that's why we have agencies that have gone for him. But what I'm trying to put forward is, can we also, in a flip of a paper or a whatever, can we see also the other success stories that are also happening? Let us not saturate our minds, our hearts, until we are also gloomy. I want us to talk about the Kakamega story now. Can we also reflect in a twinkle of an eye a major success story in another county or neighboring county? But we, as a country or Kenyans, we are attracted towards the negative only, which I want to say is good to focus it, let it come, but let us also celebrate in a mega way anything that has been done in the counties. Like my brother said, is it only counties? We have projects at the national CDF. We also have a new one called ward funds nowadays, where the ward MCS are in charge. Do we get a focus on it? So that we actually need to look at it totally. We don't look like we are focusing on one. We have now I'm the chairman of Waterworks, which is a parastatal in the national government. Can we also focus on all those one as well? So we are grateful that a governor has to go and answer. Today, Oparanya is going to present himself and account for what has been found on him. Can we also bring another governor or an MP or who with a success story? We don't want gloom also to saturate our faces.
Okay, I'll get to the success story. Maybe you can name one. I can't think of any. But Governor, I saw you nodding your head.
Yes, I'm saying that, in fact, I'm shocked that you can't even see one success. Professor Kibwana did a lot in his county.
Okay, I agree.
And I thought you would first start with 10 years after devolution. What are the successes? And then at the end of it, what are the issues? What are the challenges, including now corruption?
Name one success. Other than Professor.
Agriculture has improved.
Where?
Spending of money in rural Kenya has improved. Let me tell you, in economics, what you do, spending at the counties 15% directly in itself is a stimulus on economic growth. Even if you don't end up with specific, what is it called, flagship projects. But if you really look at the counties, there are so many things they can show. They can show you even Kakamega itself can show you hospitals. Kakamega can show you even the stadia. Kakamega can show you food crops. Kakamega can show you a lot of activity of the youth. Kakamega can show you plenty in health. Take, for instance, again, Mandera. Take, for instance, of Wajir. They did the first cesarean delivery in 2014, after 60 years of independence.
It took that long?
It took, after 60 years of independence, 1 year of devolution, and Governor Ali Roba came to report to us that they have done the first cesarean delivery in 60 years. Well, with my colleague here, we didn't know what to do. We did not know whether to celebrate, but we decided that we can only cry. We could only cry for the women who have died for 60 years without cesarean support, while Nairobi is a normal thing, cesarean. Now, we are not looking at those issues. We are looking at just one matter that looks awkward. But we are not looking at, have the women benefited from health care, which we did. I remember in my county when I arrived, there were only 50 health dispensaries. And we built, there were 150 within 5 years. Now, we are not looking at that. We are not even looking at the improvement in the improved irrigations and even more water supply to the rural Kenya. We are not even looking at the provision of fire services in the counties. And we are only looking at one small issue that erupts. I know one thing. Corruption is a problem endemic in the entire Kenyan society. And you don't tell us that there is a problem in national government because somebody has misused funds in the Ministry of Roads or in the Ministry of Water or whatever. You don't. You look at that fellow, you don't say national government. But one problem in the country, all counties are bad. We can't say that. Devolution is a success.
Yes.
And we've got to support devolution.
I agree. But then when you keep talking about small issues, these are billions. Why is the EACC...
1 billion out of how many?
Hold on. Why is the EAC processing more than 1,000 cases? 1,000 cases.
Most of it politically driven.
Oh, come on.
Quite a bit of it.
Why do you say that?
No, come to think of it, what I'm simply saying is... Kenya has a problem on corruption. Can we now start dealing with that? And without necessarily saying it is a problem of JK Koinange. It's a Kenyan problem. Let us deal with it. But the fact that there is corruption doesn't mean we can't grow vegetables. It doesn't mean we can't go to school. Look at the road network in rural Kenya now. And maybe take a look at what was happening before 2013. The road network in rural Kenya is much, much better. There are roads in the villages, which never were. I was a member of parliament for quite some bit of time, and I also joined devolution. I'm an ardent supporter of devolution. Even during my time in government, I saw how we were unable to deliver anything. I was a cabinet minister. He was a permanent secretary in the Moi government. And we found challenges in ensuring you could change even your own community.
Prophet, do you agree?
In terms of the successes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I do, because, and actually the best person to answer that question is the citizen in those 47 counties. Because when you really approach them and you ask them, are things different? There is a government near them, and they can actually walk to, take a short drive to the county headquarters or even a sub-county and get attended to. Many new people got employed, and as a result, you have these mushrooming urban centers in those counties, so that this urbanization, which really is the future, is being driven, from the counties. You look at, value addition of some agricultural, produce agro business and processing. Those are things that are happening. Like when we went to Makueni, there were about 109 health facilities. By the time we left, there were 237 facilities.
Proper health facilities.
Yeah. Proper health facilities. And actually, during COVID,
well-stocked doctors.
Doctors also doubled. Doctors and nurses and the clinical officers. We were spending like about 300 to 400 million shillings for drugs alone, and meds and Kemsa. We paid them. We didn't have debts, and even for 500 shillings. A household would get operations, they would be inpatient. Even COVID. Some people were treated in Makueni for COVID, 500 shillings per household, because that is what was our type of insurance. So I think really when you look at the functions that we have under Schedule 4 of the Constitution, we did a lot of that. And of course, 10 years is not a long time, because in America and those countries, devolution took a long time. And we are working under a lot of resistance, because the center was not always for devolution, because of taking procurement from the center, taking power from the center. So I think we have to be kind to governors and to county governments. This is really an innovation. Actually, one of the most important things that happened through the 2010 Constitution. And we are not saying that we defend corruption. We are not saying that the hand problem within this nascent system. But I think if we attack it so much, particularly from the center, then we are denying ourselves a very, very, very important fact of our political development, of our economic development. And that's why, therefore, when we talk about corruption, I think we need to talk about it in a sober way, and even to really want to tackle the issue throughout the country, not just for counties.
Okay,
and so on.
explain to me this, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, but 7 governors facing corruption charges, 7 former governors, right? From Daniel Waithaka to Onesimus Mudomi Njuki, Ferdinand Waitito, Okoth Obado, Moses Lenkulal, Evan Skidero, Mike Sonko.
Yes.
All of them facing corruption charges.
Those are 7 out of 49. What is that percentage? Out of 47. And let me tell you another thing. Even when you are discussing those issues, there are also positives that happen in that area. The number of people working in those counties are thousands and thousands. And if there are thousands and thousands, are they all corrupt? Are there positives in this? And I want you to look at also the positives on devolution on the national political landscape. For a change, Kenyans are hardly talking tribalism now. For a change, Kenyans are not talking about being sidelined on economic development, because devolution being one, I think, the best part of the 2010 Constitution, has assured fairly equitable allocation of resources. And I want to urge you to look at the spending in those counties. I know there are problems. For example, the issue that had bedeviled the national government, the capture on procurement. We also have to fight the capture of procurement at the county level, whether by officials of the county or by cartels within the counties. But nevertheless, if that money could be spent at the ward level, at the project management level, vijana wataanza kuwa na ujuzi. They will now start doing businesses. They have become contractors. There are more contractors now in rural Kenya as opposed to what it was before 2013. You will find young people coming straight from work, and within a year or two, they are okay generally. And there is spending from around there. And therefore, I think what we really need to discuss is how to improve on procurements and levels of spending.
Prof, you agree?
I agree entirely. And I'm going to challenge you, my namesake, JKLIVE.
Yes.
You actually need to be live in the villages yourself. Sometimes we get to hear stories until we are contained and depressed in our offices. Should you choose to come out and see the amazing development taking place in the villages, in the rural Kenya, you will be touched. If you have a 10-year vision, replica of what it was and what it is today, you just need to talk to the elders who are there. They'll tell you this place has simply changed. I come from West Pokot, which was synonymous with cattle theft for a mighty long time. You go there today, my brother, you can see, although you'll hear one or two thieves around, just like you see people snatching people's money, one or two here. But 90%, 95%, everywhere is good. West Pokot have chosen to go to school. Let me surprise you right now. Including old ones, Kumbaro. Do you know we had 450 teachers teaching villagers in the village? As the cows move to graze and look for water, this teacher is also mobile. That is what's happening there. It's not reported around here. So if you come there, you'll see a lot of many things that are happening. The new governor who has taken over from me, he's also walking the same talk. We have decided in North Rift, my neighbors at Turkana County, Elgeyo Marakwet County, Uganda, Trans Nzoia, and so on, West Pokot, no more lamentations. We have purpose to move. Even when you hear a neighbor has been rumored to have stolen things, keep going, do other things. Keep working so that you are not oppressed thinking, oh, what is this? Until we forget to work for this country. These are the agents who are paid salary, EACC, DCI. What's their business? Those guys have no salary. In fact, we should stop paying them if they are not working. Yes. So why are we working on their behalf? So to me, we should celebrate revolution, the way it has come this far, and speak hope to our people. This, anybody who has erred, the government is working on them. But those of you who are very good, look at the cases we are saying, they're about 1,000 or so. Millions are successful. They are not reported. Millions of successes are going on in every county. And we need to be clapping for them like this. So
you think we're being a little harsh?
Yes.
Yes.
Go to Moyale, go around there. Go to Wajir. Wajir had 2 functioning health facilities in 2013. Now Moyale even they now have very many medical staff having gone through college, and they are now back working in Wajir. They are working in Mandera. They are working in Marsabit. They are working in rural Kenya. And for a change, a man in Siaya has nothing to worry, even if he doesn't vote with somebody in Bomet or in Machakos. No, they are part of the allocation, will arrive there. So it's democratizing the country by ensuring fair and equitable distribution of resources. But let them now deal with those governors. You are talking about, you are telling me, I'm not saying they are guilty, but you are mentioning 7 out of about 120 or 130 governors. So how about the other 100 and something? There have been 3 elections of governors, of 47 governors. Multiply that by 3. Let me assume even if you went twice, and those ones are few, then they are still a new governor. They are new governors for that period. They had 120, 100 and what? Roughly 130. Now, when you're talking about 130 and you're telling us you should destroy counties because of 7 that are facing some prop, let them face. We are not supporting them. We are not saying they should do this. But the point here is we cannot condemn devolution. Devolution is the best thing. We should simply up even the allocation of resources to counties. Now let the EACC and the DCI, let them work. Let them even stop these processes of stealing. Let us go down to the oversight agencies. Let them function. We are not saying they shouldn't. They should function, and the judiciary is ready to deal with that. Nevertheless, those who are delivering services go on deliver services.
Speaking of services and expenses, at the recently concluded devolution at 10, we're meant to understand that about 3 trillion shillings has gone to the counties, right? 3 trillion.
3 trillion?
Yes.
Since 2013.
Correct, in 10 years.
Fair.
Of the 3 trillion, they say 2.9 trillion is in recurrent expenditure and only 300 billion for development. Does that make sense, gentlemen?
Even if that is in recurrent expenditure, I may not agree with you. I don't have the statistics with me. As long as that money circulating within the counties.
It is, but it's recurrent. It's paying salaries.
Salaries is an expenditure. If you don't pay salaries in the counties, Mama Mboga will have nowhere to sell.
But maybe it's too top heavy.
She will have nowhere to sell tomatoes, na nyama choma. I don't mind. Let the money be spent right in rural Kenya. Let there be an economy moving on. And then it will also create demand for manufactured products and value addition. We are simply saying we must grow our economy. And if you want to check, I saw the statistics from the Ministry of Finance, and they showed us that in the first 5 years, they had listed 5 counties which had grown by 130%, between 130% and 100%. Growth rate over 5 years. If National Treasury can bring such statistics and tell us that counties grew in such percentage over a period of only 5 years, what is it per year? I want us next time we meet on this question, we bring the statistics.
I'm just giving you statistics, but you're disagreeing. Prof, do you agree? 2.9 trillion in recurrent expense.
I think the problem is we normally don't really interrogate enough how much money goes to counties.
Yes.
Because if, for example, we had the 15%, first of all, are not less, and functions which are supposed to be done by the counties were not being done by national government, like in health, like in agriculture, so that actually all the money that is supposed to go to counties, went to counties. The percentages that you're quoting would be different, but there is the problem of a lot of money which counties should get going to, the national government, even to parastatals and statutory bodies generally. And in the conversations that we have had before, even in the BBI conversation, all political leaders were saying that 35% should go to the counties. If that was so, then it would, the recurrent would not be, that significant. And of course, we inherited employees from the county, from the local authorities. We inherited also from the national government. And sometimes we found that people who had come from the Kanjus were not really able to do some of the jobs, but yet they were permanent and pensionable. They had even negotiated for a very huge salary hike. So I think still one has to look at, like the taxation of county governments. Actually, according to the Constitution, they tax like the local authorities used to. When one looks at the Independence Constitution, the taxation for the regional governments, it was much more like you look at Section 137 going to 140s, you discover that they would get some money from the taxes of importation of petrol, of other commodities. Even they had poll tax. But now, for own source revenue, the counties are restricted to what the local authorities used to have. So it isn't really significant. So I think one has to look carefully at their sources of money so that one can be able to say that most of the money goes to salaries and stuff like that, without also knowing how much is going to the national government, which should be county money. But having said that, I think there is also a way in which some quote wastage can be dealt with. Like personally, I feel that as we go on, these ideas of benchmarking, of going to, like going to Mombasa, everybody going to another county so that, the per diem is more, I think that should be controlled. And there are things that can be done to minimize, some of those expenditures. But by and large, I think actually the counties don't receive enough money. If they did, particularly money which is spent by the national government for county functions, if that happened, then the percentages that you're quoting would be down.
JKL, tell me.
Yes, yeah, JKL. My brother, the figures you have mentioned, to a layman, and not necessarily layman, Kenyans, when they hear that we are paying a lot of money on recurrent, they think recurrent is salaries. We must distinguish. We have two level expenditure points, forts in government. We have the recurrent and we have the development. In this recurrent, you simplify them into many things. We have salaries, and the more of it goes to health. 30 to 35% of whatever you're calling salary goes to health. That's where the majority of our people are. Number two, most of the money also goes to this recurrent called drugs. We pay KEMSA, millions. When I was the governor, we used to pay a lot. And the emergencies, whatever. And fuel, ambulances. To buy an ambulance is no development, it's recurrent. To run an ambulance is no development, it's recurrent. Fuel for the vehicles that the governor, the county runs, plus grease for the motorbikes and the bicycles, everything, tractors.
Plus the governor's convoys.
Which are no longer there.
Cars.
By the way,
even scholarships are recurrent.
Everything is recurrent. So, scholarship, scholarship is bursary. All that huge. West Pokot were paying almost 600, and the current governor is really struggling. 600, 700 million. Because we said, although it's not a developed function, what will it profit West Pokot? If we continue doing roads and there's nobody who can even afford a bicycle and a motorbike, let's also train them. So you find that what we are talking about at the salary, let's not misunderstand. Recurrent, running all those things. So to me, let's not judge the governors and the development units harshly. By the way, did you also know the national government, where we are now, we are now there, they also run the same. Huge fuel here, salaries even more than what we are also focusing on the other ones. And also we have also a loose end in counties where we just exited the other day with my brothers here. Maybe a governor may also want to come with these people, remove the others. And so that's a loose end that needs just to be tightened, which should not require condemnation on counties.
You're being too soft on your colleagues. I don't know why.
No.
I don't know why.
Let the truth be said.
Come on. It's not a perfect thing.
We are experienced.
Call a spade a spade.
We are experienced people.
Experienced in what?
And we can explain. Most of us have worked in the public service for so long.
Look, Governor.
Yes.
My friend here has worked for very long.
Wait, let me come to my next point.
Years.
Yeah.
What also came out of this devolution conference is that governors behave like mini presidents.
Where?
In their fiefdoms, in their counties, they behave like mini presidents.
By doing what?
Convoys, chase cars.
What convoys?
Come on, Governor.
If you are going to a function with your CECs, They must explain. There is one very powerful thing that was introduced even on devolution, the question of public participation. If you go to a function, you need those CECs and chief officers to go and listen to one.
And everyone goes in one car or two
Not
cars.
necessarily. They usually put to themselves about 5 of them in
No.
Well, anyway, if such a thing does happen, I think that need to be addressed. But I wanted to also just add to his point that the law says no more than 30%, I think, can go to salaries.
Yeah.
So now, if any county government is exceeding 30%, why is in that county featuring? Why does the controller of budget release such monies to go to the counties? 30% on salaries.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just supporting what Lonya has just mentioned to you, that, for example, healthcare. What do you want us to do with healthcare? When the controller of budget and the treasury system regards the entire healthcare as a recurrent cost, you want us to stop? You want them to stop buying drugs because of that? No. Let us just analyze these things. And then I think Kenyans need to know what is this that they are calling recurrent costs. And then things will move on.
But
it is important that way.
Do you agree with what I said, that governors have become mini presidents in their counties?
I don't know. You may be right in some way. We don't know how people behave. Yes, there could be some people who just engage a foolish gear, wanting to be and particularly those who have just arrived the other day. But these guys who have been seasoned, by the way, I worked with him when he was I was a senator, he was a governor. But he goes with one car.
He was coming in a pickup.
Him.
To our meeting.
Even you, I remember you in a pickup.
Yes, and why not?
Yes, now, and that's what happened in West Pokot in my time. I think even the current governor, whatever you could be, some counties with those manners, we should not generalize. But you are right. We should also focus and tell them where it is necessary. Why should you, even in some of these areas where the roads are not even done, what are you trying to show? The Mercedes in a funny place. So, but this is the devolution is at the beginning, 10 years now, meaning in the next 10 years, 20 years, we will not be where we are. We are really making good progress.
And yet also, Jeff, this is a question of the culture of leadership in the entire country. You know, what are the things that we should value? And of course, there is the part of the Constitution which focuses on what kind of leadership is necessary, you know, for our country. And, you know, that is why, as you correctly point out, if any governor or leadership, whether it's a minister, whether it is member of parliament, whoever in our country, if they begin to be boss, then that is not the kind of leadership that is anticipated in our Constitution, and that should be, we should talk about it. They should be called out. For example, one of the things that we require to focus on in terms of devolution is sometimes when one governor exits and another one comes in, they may tend to actually marginalize the people who were senior in the previous administration, so that there isn't continuity. Because the civil servants serve any government.
Yes.
So that they should be protected. And these are lessons that are necessary, like when new governors are coming in, when new permanent secretaries, when new ministers are coming in, they should, you know, be made to know that this is what happens in democracies. But you are right in terms of through COG, there needs to be more education so that people know that the picture that governors give, the picture that the cabinet secretaries, you know, permanent secretaries, you know, it must be a picture that these are servant leaders and they are not bosses. And because if a governor shows that we need to protect resources, then that will go down. But if a governor is wasteful, if any leader is wasteful, then the junior people will say, oh, this is the example to follow. But again, you know, the governor, I keep on repeating this, is a very endangered species. You know, the MP says the governor is doing bad things. You know, the senator says the governor is doing bad things. The MCA says the governor is doing bad things because maybe it is thought that they have resources at their control and some people want the resources and then they, kind of fight them. But as the governors do, the proper things that should be done, we should still be a bit protective of, that institution so that we don't kind of, destroy devolution, so to speak. But at the same time, any wrongdoing by any leader, we are not saying that it should not be focused on, because we want to improve the systems that we have.
The other thing is, and I totally agree with what you're saying, is that maybe they know that they're only there for 10 years maximum. And in 10 years, they need to steal as much as they can.
Is it true? No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Because
you don't think so?
I think people vying for governor should actually be going there for a leadership position, not a monetary gain expedition.
7 governors are being investigated.
Out of 150. Even pastors, you are aware the pastors killed Kenyans in Mombasa. Do we say all churches are bad? No. We know there are certain few problems.
Yeah, you're
you're
defending them too much.
But let's proceed.
You're defending.
No. I just want to tell you that.
Wait.
Picking from where he is,
yes,
where he left, the main agenda right now is to sort out the question of the public service in the counties, so that they are in sync with the public service at the national level. In fact, that is one law which Senate has not pushed, I think, since my time as chair of Council of Governors, because the National Public Service, the National Public Service Commission, is supposed to declare county service as a service in the Republic of Kenya, and come up with the requisite law to ensure that even staff in Bungoma can actually be transferred to Makueni and continue at the same level. They can vie for positions in all those areas. We must professionalize the service delivery within the counties. That's exactly what Professor is saying.
That's a pipe dream, huh?
You don't remove even chief officers or such like other officers every other 5 years, every other 10 years, every other 5 years, after every... Then nothing happens.
Exactly.
Then.
It's all, yeah. By the way, why aren't you guys on this list? Why aren't you there?
I did my job to the best of my knowledge.
Why aren't you there?
Which list?
This list of these governors, corruption list. Why aren't you there?
Even the people you are mentioning, Jeff, first of all...
Answer my question. Why aren't you on this list?
Doing what?
Doing what?
We did our work.
We went there. We didn't go there
to steal.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
why didn't you?
But, I mean, well, is that the...
No.
Isn't that evidence?
But
evidence
that's what they require.
Don't buy governor's position to go and steal.
But there are those who did.
But Jeff, let me
There is no guarantee these ones ever stolen. These ones are innocent until proven guilty.
Let me also say this. When this government, the new government, came in, there were people who were already accused of corruption. And they were, quote, pardoned. And the reason was that when they were taken to court, it was supposed to have been unfair, it was weaponization, it was political, and that kind of stuff. So that it is not necessarily the case that every time somebody in the African context is taken to court for corruption or for other things, that they may have done, wrongdoing. Like we had a very bad example in Makueni, where in the first term, like half of my senior people were taken to the anti-corruption court by the speaker, because the speaker, was from a different party. We were fighting. Eventually, they were released, and the speaker had told a lie. So he was supposed to be himself prosecuted for having said, accused people unfairly. But these kids were so scared, they said they don't want to take the speaker to court. So I think, again, we really must make sure that our systems also do the right thing, so that, therefore, everybody who is being taken to court, they are taken to court because, some wrongdoing has been suspected, and they are processed in a proper way. But I think if you go to the county to really serve the people, and even if you steal and you do things like that, they can even go to your mother or father if they're alive or relatives and say that, how come your son, your daughter is a thief? That should make you feel that you must do the right thing.
You think people really care about that?
So, like in Makueni, we even had open contracting. We began a system, I think one of the systems even in the continent, it's not usual, where every information about procurement is in the open. So the staff knew that if you now, do wrong things, the evidence, you will have produced the evidence. And maybe if things like that can happen in the country, there can be open contracting, there can be lifestyle audits, these wealth declaration forms. We fill them and they're just kept somewhere. They are not made open. They should be made open so that in the next term, next year, you show what you have. So actually, there are ways in which we can fight corruption like in other places, and it is effective. So we need to go back to that drawing board and say, what are the things that we must do so that it is very easy, for people to be frightened of doing the wrong thing.
Sure. We're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, I want to talk more about this. But look at some of the charges here. Abuse of office, bribery, unexplained wealth, maladministration. It's all there.
What is maladministration?
You're an administrator. You should know.
Huh? Unexplained wealth.
Unexplained wealth.
Where have they been? Why didn't they publish his what he was just mentioning?
Well, the declaration.
When you are becoming a governor, you sign. You put everything known.
But then 10 years later, 10 years later, you've amassed.
Why at the end of the year? Let us look at what we've gained.
You're defending them too much. I want to take a break.
But don't forget that the president said he's going to ensure that there is more devolution. The functions that were never transferred, he promised to transfer and give the resources to follow those functions. So the president is supportive of devolution, the same way we are saying now.
Okay.
That was down there.
What do you think? Keep tweeting at Kenyan Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLIVE. Plenty more to talk about governors' relationship with their deputies, about governors and county government. Talk about that. Plenty more after the break. Back in a moment.